Well, I made a screw up. Filmed the last segment and started painting again using some red and forgot to turn the camera on, so you didn't get to see that part of it. So you're going to see the last half of it getting painted. Just means less fast forward footage for you, which means shorter vlog, which you guys like. Not too bad. Doesn't look all that bad actually, with the red and the gold. Now I'm going to have to let it dry overnight. The last two things I need to do is get the eyeballs in, which I'm working on out in the shop. You saw that out in the segment. But for now, I think I'm going to let this dry overnight, and we're going to call it quits on this for today. And then tomorrow we'll get in and get the eyeballs done, hopefully get the eyeballs mounted, and then I got to work on the staff part that comes out the bottom. We're back out in the shop. It's the next day. Things have had a chance to dry overnight. I got all my pieces up I need for my staff. I've got the eyeballs yet that I've got to get finished and get them mounted into the skull here. And then yesterday, you've seen the footage, we went through and detailed the skull out. Like I said, get this turned around here, I still need to get the eyeballs in, and I need to modify the bottom. I need to cut that hole slightly bigger to accept this here. And it's just a wood dowel. What this used to be was one of those standards you'd see out in front of your house, you know, with a flag on it. And I'm going to just cut the tip off of it. It's just a wooden dowel is all it is. I got this and the skull down at the same thrift store. I think I spent $3 total. And to buy a wood dowel that size and that length, you're looking at about just $3 just for this. And skull probably about 20, so it wasn't too bad of a buy. But with this, I need to cut the top piece off here. And then I need to go ahead and sand it down to bare wood, because right now it's got a heavy layer of clear coat over the top of it, and I want to get that off so I can stain it. And then we'll do some detail work on it as well. I'm going to put some leather thong on it or something, you know, right where my hand goes when I'm walking with it, you know, to kind of detail it out. And I've also got to figure out what I want to do for a foot on the bottom of it. I'm not sure if I'm just going to bend and form over some metal to go over the bottom of it, or go down by rubber cane foot or what. But anyway, we're going to get going. I think I'm going to get started first on the eyeballs. I need to get the pupils put on, let them dry, and I got veining to do on the eyes too. Then I can get them installed. I think we're going to get started on those eyeballs first. Okay, working on the eyes, I went ahead and I cut out the pupils I wanted, and I made some slits on it as SK recommended in his how-to, so it'll form over the round ball a little bit more. Now I need to get a little bit of glue on the back of those and stick them onto here. And I'm doing a little bit different. He used SK, I should say, when he attached his pupils to the his eyeballs. He used just some stick glue, Elmer's stick glue. I'm going to end up using some Elmer's wood glue, and I'll just spread a little bit on the back of each pupil and then stick it to the eyeball, and then they're going to have to sit and dry. The nice thing with the way SK did it is it doesn't take as long to dry. Once you stick it on, it dries a little quicker. So this will take a little bit longer. I'll have to sit for a little bit before I can do anything else with them. Okay, now that the pupils have dried a little bit, it's time to get some veining in. You know, if you look in the mirror at your eyeball, there's some red veins in it. Now I'm going to, I should say SK did 2 steps on his veining. On the back side of the ball, he did some sponge work with some red in the back of the eyeball. I'm not going to do that. I'm not really worried about that level of detail, so I'm just going to do some veining on the eye, and I got to do each one. Okay, it's only taken a couple of minutes to get the iris or the eyes done. I went through and did some veining on them around the outside. You know, and it doesn't look that good that way, but you look at it this way, you can see some of the veining and stuff on them. So it should look good in the face of the skeleton. Okay, getting ready to start on the staff now. The first step on here is going to be to cut this decorative piece off. I don't need that on there. That's where I want the skull to sit. Now I think if I wanted a little bit more decoration on the staff, I probably could, come to think of it, just flip it over and make that the base of the staff down there, and then use this for the top. Which I don't know if I'd like that idea or not. Trying it out here. I don't know, I might, you know, come to think of it, I might just leave that on there and use that for the foot of the staff. That will hold up a lot better than the than just having a foot on here. And I could decorate that up with a little bit of paint down there so it shows up. So, I don't know, I'm going to talk to the wife and see what the wife has to say. I think I'm going to leave that on there. Which would mean the next step to do on the staff is this has been clear coated already. So, and I need the clear coat off. So I'm going to have to run it through and sand it. Well, I'm going to go talk to Sue and see what she has to say about the base of that. Well, I talked to Sue, and she agrees with me. That would make a good foot for the base, and I could do some sort of paint work or something on it so it sticks out. One thing I am noticing though is when they made this for the flags, they just put this on there dry. There's no glue in there holding it on. There's just 2 tack nails is all there is. So I think I'm going to pop this off, and I'm going to fill the cavity with some wood glue and then put it back on and re-tack it back on so it's on there more steady. Well, I was right. They just put it on the end of the staff dry and then drove a couple of tacks through it to hold it on. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to fill that with wood glue, a good generous helping of wood glue, and I'll put it back on the end of the staff over here, and then I'll put the nails back in. when the wood glue dries, that'll help stiffen it up, you know, so it's not so wobbly on the end. But for now, while I've got this off the end of the staff, I'm going to get my yellow palm sander out over there, and I'm going to go over that staff, go over the staff with the sander, get it all sanded down, and then I'll reattach this. Okay, just got done resanding or sanding the staff portion of it. I even sanded the ball up here and we got it reattached. I filled the cavity with some wood glue, stuck the ball back on, and then used my pneumatic nailer and put 4 tack nails into it, and it's on there nice and tight now, so that should be pretty good. Our next step with this now is to get it stained. Well, I went through my paint rack and I had a little bit of wood stain left. This one's a golden pecan. So I'm going to go over the staff portion of my staff, and we're going to rub some golden pecan stain into it, and then we'll set it out to dry, and then it's lunchtime. Okay, we've got it stained. Didn't take long. All the way down to the end, and my sanding job on it left it kind of streaky, which is fine. That's going to be getting some detail treatment anyway. Now the next step is set this out in the sun and let it dry for about a half hour, and then I'll be able to move along. Well, lunch is done, and with just enough time, the eyeballs are dry, and I've got them over there on the table. I'm not sure if I'm showing them, I'm doing it over my shoulder. And the staff is dry. So it came out looking good. My next chore now is on the base of here. When they did this, it's kind of oddball shape so they could get the wires from the LEDs that used to be in the eyes down through here and onto the battery pack. Now that hole is not big enough to allow this into the staff to go through. So I'm going to take a Dremel with a grinding bit on it, and we're going to work on widening that hole out enough so it will accept the staff. Okay, there you go. The staff now fits into the skull. Problem is that the skull's a little loose here and there. So I'm going to do, in fact, let me get the skull off the staff, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, now to get the skull to attach to the staff, it's going to be a two-step process. I'm going to start out with some hot glue, and I'm going to put a huge glob of hot glue on the end of the staff, and we'll get it inserted into the skull at the angle that we need, so the skull's sitting in the position we want. We'll wait a couple of minutes to let that dry, and then we're going to take great stuff, and I left a kind of like an oblong hole there, a little divot sticking down. It's just enough room once the staff is in there to accept the wand off the great stuff. I can stick that down there, and we're going to fill the skull with great stuff. Now I'm going to do it in probably 2 or 3 different attempts. The first attempt, I'll spray enough great stuff in there to fill probably a quarter of the skull, or about a quarter of the skull to half the skull. We'll let that dry and set up, then I'll come back out in a couple hours and fill the other half and let it set up. Now what that's going to do is the hot glue will hold the staff into place, and then once the great stuff sets up on the inside, it will keep the skull from wanting to wobble back and forth. Ultimately, if I have my way, I'd put the staff in there and just put a screw in through the top here to hold it into place. But I don't want the screw showing. So we're going to try doing it this way and see how that works. We've got the staff in the skull with some hot glue. And as you can tell, I've got it upside down on the floor. Now, the next step is to get the great stuff in there. Okay, and like I said, we're going to do this in several different applications. And what I thought would happen is happening. You gotta remember, I had LEDs in the eyes there, and I took those out, so the excess foam is squirting out the skull, which is just fine. Once the foam is set up all the way, I can get back in there, clean it out, and go on from there. But need to let the great stuff right now just do its thing and set up. And then after it's set up for a couple hours, we can come back out here, put in a little bit more if a little bit more is needed, or we can just clean it up and go on from there, and we'll see what happens. Okay, while the great stuff in the skull is expanding, and boy is it expanding and drying and stuff, I'm going to go over and do my detail work up here. While it's in the clamp now would be the perfect time to do it, so we'll get this part detailed out. So I went and I put some gold on the ball with silver on the flange, and the silver is probably going to need a little extra on it, so I'll have to do that at a later date. But now I really can't go any further, and I think I did make one small mistake, and it was on the great stuff. It's really setting up and oozing out, and I think I put too much in. It's kind of hard to tell how much you're putting in a closed space when you can't see on the inside. So I'm just going to let that sit for a couple of hours and dry. And then what I might end up doing, it's just going on about 2:30. I just might call it quits out here for today on this and let it dry overnight. And then next time I come out, next segment you'll see will be me cleaning this mess up down here and finishing up on the detail work. Well, the foam's set up. It's been about 4 hours, almost 4 hours, and I got a mess. Boy, did I overfill. So I'm going to have fun coming back in through here and cleaning it up. Well, not too bad. We got the foam off there. We got it cleaned up. I went through and retouched up the face. I had to redo the nose here, and it comes close to matching there. It's good enough for me. And we had to redo the mouth and redo the chin because the foam squirted out. What we've got left to do on it is I need to get the eyes put in, and I've got a hand grip with some decorations that need to go on the stock. But right now with that face wet and all, I think I'm just going to wait till tomorrow. It's almost 9 o'clock at night now, so we'll let it sit overnight, and then we'll come out here tomorrow, get the eyes in, and get that get the decoration on the staff done too, which won't take long. I came out earlier this morning. I think I saw a segment of it. But I went and got the eyeballs in, and then I went through and I went ahead and clear coated not only the skull but the walking stick. Now my last step I need to do is ornamentation on the walking stick itself. I was going to put a hand grip in here, and I was going through. I'm using pretty much a lot of what I'm using is scrap. You know, just some leftover stuff from old projects. And I thought I had some strips of leather out here, and apparently I don't. What I do have is some leather thong. I got tan, I got the purple, and I got the red. So I think I'm going to end up doing the hand grip out of that on the stick. But that's pretty much the last step, is getting that on there. And then this baby is going to be done, and we'll give you a better look at it. Well, staff is done, officially. All the way down. Now we went and clear coated the skull and the staff, and I told you that. And I took some leather thong and wrapped it for a hand grip. It's set to my height. Someone else shorter than me would have it further down the pipe naturally. Then we did some danglies on it. And then I went and took more thong and wrapped the base down there to give it a little bit more symmetry. But all in all, I don't think it turned out half bad. Well, you got a 2-for-1 vlog out of this one. This vlog's coming to a close, folks. You saw the mapping out of the haunt, and I ran you through that, and our first project, the walking stick, which is a costume piece. This was something I wanted to have for West Coast and never had the time to do it. But, so that's done. Our next vlog in the series for this season is going to be on the power box. So we'll work on that. Get started on that, For me, it's going to be tomorrow, more likely. For you guys, it'll be the next vlog, whenever it is up. Whether it's going to be a week from now, a couple of weeks from now, a month from now, I don't know. Depends on how long the project takes. And you know how I am with projects. With that, I also wanted to bring up, we've added a new splash screen to the intro. And it has to do with our Etsy store, the Haunted Treasures Etsy store. Many of you know my wife Sue and I were vendors down at West Coast Haunters Convention. And since November, we've been working on merchandise, LED floodlights with stakes, spotlights. We went through and made up some skulls, and made some plaques, necklaces. We have the skulls individually as well. And then my wife's spices. Well, we had a bunch of the stuff left over from West Coast, so we've created an Etsy page. And I'll have the link to the Etsy page from now on down below with, you know, in the description on the vlog, as well as the link to the Haunted Tents page and the Haunted Treasures Facebook page, where you can contact me, ask questions, what have you. So make sure you start checking out the descriptions down below, and visit our Etsy store and our Haunted Treasures page too. So other than that, I'm going to bring this vlog to a close, and we're going to say, stay spooky. Now hold it. Oh, yeah, that was it. And stay toxic.